Ultravox are a very, very influential band. They've influenced me. But what people don't know, there's a dichotomy. There's two eras. There is the John Foxx era, and there is the Midge era. Now, John Foxx formed the band, and basically 1974 with Warren Cann and Chris Cross on bass, and Billy Currie. No, they basically the John Foxx era are very prestigious, very accomplished, and also highly influential. Whereas the Midge era is kind of a massive commercial success. Basically, the John Foxx era, Ultravox, as I said, were influential. They influenced Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, Depeche Mode, and the Human League. Very important bands. They also, again, were like really accomplished in terms of like their albums were produced by Steve Lillywhite, and in one instance, with support from Brian Eno. And then later on, they were produced by Connie Plank. Very prestigious stuff. But if that wasn't enough, when they played in London, they had one guy that would go to every single concert and who was enamoured by the band, Gary Newman. For Gary Newman, John Foxx era Ultravox were a formative influence. Ultravox were like one of the first British electronic bands, and they were a kind of a foundational influence and a formational influence on Gary Newman's electronic music. He's been cited as saying that, and also he said there was nobody else at the time. Right around then, Ultravox were in a bit of a disarray. John Foxx decided to leave and go on have a solo career, and he had some commercial success. And with that, Gary Newman got Billy Currie to basically play on the Pleasure Principle album and do the tour for him as well. So he managed to get one of his favourite bands into his band, Billy Currie. And then Billy Currie joined Visage. And who was in Visage? Midge. Now, Midge was a very prestigious guy, like, because he had a number one hit in February 1976, Top of the Pops, and also was asked to join the Sex Pistols in 1975, right at the start. And so he kind of came in there, and basically Billy Currie, Warren Cann, and Chris Cross were marching on with Ultravox, and they asked Midge to join. He accepted. No sooner than Midge accepted, he went home, sat down, and he got a phone call from Philip Lynott from Thin Lizzy. There was basically a bust up in Arkansas, and Gary Moore had left the band, and they needed a guitar player to finish their massive tour, world tour. And Midge accepted and did the tour, saw it out. But with they were playing massive stadiums in Madison Square Garden and all that kind of stuff. So with the remuneration from that, basically Midge was able to fit out Ultravox with top of the range synthesizers. So all the new synths that were on the market, Midge was able to buy all those, and it made an incredible difference. It put Ultravox into the top tier of synth pop bands, and they had an album produced by Connie Plank, and the album Vienna, which kind of used elements of Gustav Klimt, also kind of like The Third Man by Graham Greene, elements of that into that aesthetic into their concept, with the Orson Welles kind of stuff as well, and it was a massive success for them. Like, they just had hit after hit after hit, and highly, highly successful. Next question, do I have an intersection with Ultravox? Answer, yes, via Mr. Mark Nausif, the world-class drummer and pedagogue. He played on Philip Lynott's first two solo albums, the Solo in Soho album and the Philip Lynott album. Mark Nosif was on those albums. Also on those albums was Billy Currie. Now, Billy Currie was in both formations of Ultravox and also Gary Newman. Then Midge was on those albums, and Midge played across the whole lot of those two albums extensively. And Mr. Mark Nosif, whom I played with and recorded with, was on those albums. So there's an intersection there. Ultravox, both incarnations, the John Foxx one and the Midge one, are a profound influence upon me, and absolutely fantastic band whose influence it's kind of perennial, so to test the time. Thank you very much for listening.